What's up, everyone? Welcome to the live today. Today, we're going to talk about the most important sound in English. So, if you are starting out learning American accent or working on your listening skills, this is going to be a huge lesson for you. We're going to break down exactly which sound we use the most and how we use it and why it's important. So, let me just check the sound here real quick. Looking good. All right, guys. I'm using a different mic today. I was having problems with my last mic, so let me know if there's any issues with the sound. But why don't we just jump into it? So, what is the most important sound in English? What is the sound that we use the most? The sound that we use more than any other sound is called the schwa. So, I think most of you have probably heard of this. There's a lot of videos about it, a lot of ways to learn about it. A lot of teachers teach this, but I'm going to show you guys exactly how I teach this to my students so that you can hear the language like a native speaker and start to deliver it that way as well. So, what is the schwa? The schwa is basically a sound that we use to make it obvious that a syllable is unstressed. All right, we already talked about how rhythmic contrast works in American English and how we have a very strong contrast with the four ingredients of volume, length, pitch, and space. And it needs to be obvious for our American ears. So, one way that we make unstressed syllables as obvious as possible is we turn them into a schwa. So, a schwa is just a sound that is inside of the body and is neutral. It has no other identity. So we've already talked about many times, and I've showed you the videos where I break this down. For an American listener, we need to hear the sound of the vibration and resonance inside of the body for us to be able to follow along easily. So when we're talking about this unstressed sound, all it is neutral articulators and this resonance here. Nothing more. I think it's the easiest sound that you could possibly make. Nothing else. However, I know that for many non-native speakers, it is not the easiest sound you can make. Why is that? Because most of you are not used to speaking from your body, to engaging your whole capacity of your lungs, using your diaphragm to let this energy come up and just resonating or creating a resonance inside of the body like this. A lot of times when I start teaching the schwa to someone and they hear this sound, when I ask them to repeat it, they give me something like this. Ah, ah, ah. So that is a small, unstressed sound, but it doesn't sound like the schwa, and it doesn't sound like American English. And for an American English listener, it doesn't sound like a human voice. It just sounds like a sound that you're making with your mouth. Listen to the difference. This is the native speaker. Uh, 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 uh. The whole identity, the whole characteristic of the sound is down here. This is the non-native speaker. Ah, ah, ah. Absolutely no resonance, no vibration. Everything is here. If you're speaking here, ah, then you are not easy to understand for an American listener. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the live. Please hit the like button on the way in. Help me out with the algorithm. Drop in the chat. Where are you watching from? Are you in the US? Are you somewhere else? If there's any words you want me to break down, you can drop them there as well. We're going to go over some words that were requested from another user, another viewer. All right, so let's get into this schwa thing here. Let me make sure you guys can see this. So again, the two most important things that you need to know about the schwa. How to identify the schwa. Okay, the two most important things that you need to know when you're working on the schwa. The first is how to identify the schwa. Okay, we identify the schwa by resonance in the body, vibration in the chest vocal cord area, and that it's neutral. That's it. Two things: connection to the body, neutral sound, and that it's small. It's unstressed. So that's the first thing. How to identify. The second thing is what is the function or the purpose of the schwa. So like I already said, the purpose of the schwa is to make it as obvious as possible that a vowel is unstressed. So if you know those two things, you can start to master the schwa. So let's jump in here and we're going to look at some examples of the schwa. Again, as always, I'll put this link in the description. Please hit the like button, guys, as you come in. Help me out with the algorithm. Drop where you're watching from. Let me know where you are, US, anywhere else. All right, this is a video I made about, I don't know, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, maybe less, sometime around maybe just before the pandemic. What is the schwa? Clearly pronounced, underpronounced, unstressed ones. Look at this, the most common vowel sound in American English. This is the IPA sign. You guys don't have to memorize IPA signs, but I recommend that you guys remember this one. It's really easy to remember, and you're going to see it all the time. And we're going to look here later in the dictionary at some words, and actually we'll see them here. We can see them here too. Well, when you go look in a dictionary, when you see this, you want to be able to recognize what you're seeing. We got the lazy schwa. We'll talk about that. Here are some video examples of lazy schwa. You guys can watch those. Well, let's get into some examples. Regular schwa words. I'm going to start at the bottom. All right. So the first thing that if I was starting English, like learning English and starting working on my pronunciation, I would start to listen to how this, unless it's stressed, does not get pronounced as tu. This is something that most non-native speakers are addicted to doing because like it's probably one of the first words you learned, and when you see that, your eyes are programmed. You guys, commonly do this do do do, right, where you're creating a strong T sound, and it's just in the mouth do do do. Okay, a native speaker will never pronounce this as tu. See if I can make this so you guys can see it better. You guys can let me know in the chat when you guys can't see what I'm looking at or what I'm talking about. I'm still new at the live thing. All right, so hopefully you guys can see that. Okay, so this is unstressed, right? You see the IPA here, right? So I'm not going to say tomato. I'm going to say t. And pay attention to what I'm showing you is the most important part. Listen, I'm not putting emphasis on the T. I'm not saying da, 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 right? That's a sound from the mouth. We don't understand mouth sounds. Listen to how soft my T is. T. And this part is the strongest. That's the part that makes my native listener ears lock in. That's the part that my ears are trained to hear. My ears are searching for. T. Right? The T is so soft that this air is so strong it just goes right past. You can hear the air going past. T. Right? So then we'll take the energy from our body, keep the musicality going, and just go straight up into that stressed vowel that we've been talking about for the last 3 or 4 lives. So listen to this. I'm not going to say tomato. I'm not going to put the emphasis on the M. It's all vibration going up into the vowel. Tomato. Like that. And that's how it works. So let's practice a couple here together. Listen to me. Use your ears. I know you see the words here. Don't stare at the words. You can't read what I'm about to do. You have to listen to what I'm about to do. Listen to the vibration. Listen to the contrast. Listen to the pitch and the stressed syllable. Listen to how the consonants are soft. So here we go. Repeat after me. Tomato. Tonight. You see that space I created? Tonight. Right? I created pitch, but I also amplified tonight. So that stress vowel is obviously different than to. Right? If you come in and you say tonight, 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 for the listener, it's not obvious where we're going. Where are we? Are we stressed? Are we unstressed? What's coming next? Is it going to be bigger? Is it going to be smaller? But if you come in and you say to, the listener knows exactly where we are and to expect something more important to follow. Let's keep going. Tomorrow. Around. You notice this? All four of these words, the first syllable is unstressed, and it's a schwa. Almost always, when the first syllable is unstressed, it's almost always going to be a schwa. Right? We want to make it as obvious as possible. Let's keep going here. This time the schwa is in the second syllable. Listen to this. Tella. Right? I'm not saying tele, le. That's how everyone else will pronounce it from you guys, the non-native speakers. You guys are going to try to guide me through with the consonants. You can say tele. But we want to guide ourselves here. Tell. You hear that? You hear that? You can trace my voice the whole way. Television. Like that. Next one is preza. So I'm making the first syllable big. Preza. President. Make these even bigger. There we go. This is a good one. Everyone says this word that's speaking English. We've got two schwas here, right? How many syllables? University. There's 5 syllables here. So none of them are equal. The syllables are never equal. So we're going to have primary and secondary stress, right? In our unstressed syllables, we're going to make it as obvious as possible. Listen to this. Una. I'm not saying uni, right? I'm saying universa, right? You hear how obvious those stressed syllables are that way? University. All right, the next one, this is why you guys are here. You're all here to do this. And 99% of you are going to say pro. You'll probably make it small, pro. But you'll probably make it in the mouth, and you'll probably say, oh. We don't do that. We're just going to say, pro. And listen to how soft the P is. It's not pro. It's pro. Where this is the important part. Go up into the pitch. Pronounce. You say it. Pronounce. Look, all of these first syllables unstressed, and they're all schwas. Next one. Believe. Listen to the musicality and the pitch in the stressed syllable. It's so far away from this schwa that the listener just can easily follow along and know which parts are important. Again. Right? Most of the time, you guys, non-native speakers, are going to see this A sound, and you're going to go ah. Like, this is probably one of the most challenging things for students to actually put this in practice. Like, I know you guys can understand the idea conceptually, right? Inside the body vibration. But when it comes to put it into practice, you guys aren't used to bringing this energy up, almost like a strong breath of air, just right? Most of the time, you start your voice from here, you go ah. But again, that's not a schwa. That's not easy to understand. That's not where our ears are trained to follow. Our ears are trained to follow vibration. Listen to this, Soft consonant right into the vowel. Again. Together. Together. Amazing. Amazing. Hope you guys are repeating after me. Listen to this. This is one of the first words all of you learned, and you all pronounce it in a way that's hard to understand. You say today, today, today. Listen to how I say it. Uh, 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 uh. Today. Today. Right again, if you say today, today, today. I don't know where we are, which part is important. But if you say today, it's so obvious that day is important. All right, look at this. Pull, police. Police. All right, the next one's my favorite. The next one is my favorite. The next one is the Schwa boss. Let's see, we got Brazil in the house. Shout out to Brazil. What's up? Glad to have you here. All right, the Schwa boss right here. This one. This is where I'm from. This is the English I speak. This is the English I'm teaching you guys. There's actually, this is ChatGPT. I need to go in here and fix this, but you see there's a schwa in the beginning and a schwa in the end. There's also a schwa in the middle. So out of the 4 syllables, 3 of them are schwas. 75% of the word, a schwa, is just Listen to this. America. America. You hear that? Rucka. Rucka. 3 out of the 4 vowels are just I know most of you probably want to say America, America, America. Okay? But guess what? It's hard to understand. Right? And you know what? You're probably not going to be able to your muscle memory is probably not even going to allow you to do this in the beginning. I rarely see someone that I teach this to and they do it right away. Because you're so used to moving the listener through with the mouth. Sometimes they'll start out, your students say America, Rica, right? Which you got to get used to not pushing the listener through with that consonant sound. So here's a trick that I use for students to help them tune their ear to hear it the right way, but also for them to be able to adjust the way they're pronouncing it. So you can use this trick not just for this word, for anything. Any other word, vowel, linking works really well also. So what you got to do is you got to extract a portion or a piece of the word so that it doesn't sound like the word. So for example, we could just say here, ruka, ruka, right? And don't even stare at the word, just listen, ruka. You guys repeat it after me, ruka, 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 right? And then take a different piece, mara, mara, ruka, ruka. Put them together, America. Don't stare at the word, just listen, America. Which is all connected from here, America. And then all you have to do is just put an in the beginning and you've nailed it, right? America. America. Like that. Welcome, guys. Please hit the like button on your way in. Help your boy out with the algorithm. Just getting started with a live. So help me out. Get in the algorithm. Also drop in the chat where you watching from today. What country are you in? All right, look at this. Another word where the first syllable is unstressed. I guess this is a little bit more obvious because it's a U sound, but right, we're just gonna supply. But notice how obvious it is, right? It's not so. The S is not taking over. It's just supply like that. All right, same thing. This is ChatGPT. Like this should be a schwa here, but listen. It doesn't matter what ChatGPT says. Listen to what it sounds like when I pronounce it. Listen to this. Duh. D, D, not de. 99% of you are going to say de. That's not easy to understand. I'm going to say d. Develop. Listen to how it's all one connected group of energy. Develop. Sella. Right? Not selle. That's all equal. Selle. We want sella. Look. Listen to the recipe. Volume, length, pitch, and space. Set is long. L is short. More volume, less volume. Sella. More pitch, less pitch. Sella. Right? Even space. Look. Sella. I'm amplifying the important part. And we're using the schwa to make the other part obvious. It's unstressed. Celebrate. About. Support. It's not support. Support. And banana. All right, what's up, everyone? Hit the like button if you're watching. Help your boy out with the algorithm. Let me know where you're watching from. I'm gonna add you guys here with me with the chat. I think. There we go. All right. So, you guys got questions so far? Or are we good? Remember, what's important about the schwa? How to identify it and the function. So you might be thinking that, okay, the schwa is lazy, but guess what? We can get even lazier. We have the lazy schwa. So the lazy schwa basically just means that we don't pronounce the syllable at all. Okay, without getting into too much detail, there's some consonants that have such a strong vibration and influence that they just eliminate the unstressed vowel. We already looked at a bunch of these when we looked at syllabic consonants. If you didn't see that live, go back, watch the replay. Syllabic consonants. So here, if you're trying to pronounce things by using your eyes, you're going to get in a lot of trouble because there's more letters here than you're going to hear. Okay? So, like, let's say I was pronouncing this word with my most perfect pronunciation. Like, if I thought you didn't speak English, I would say something like chocolate with a schwa here, right? Chocolate. I wouldn't say choco, right? Chocolate. But that's like only if I thought you didn't speak English. If I'm talking to someone with my regular accent, I'm just going to remove that middle schwa and just say chocolate. Chocolate. Right? That's the lazy schwa. Or instead of favorite, I'll say favorite. Right? Favorite. Remove the the schwa, and just say favorite. This one, I think, is probably tough because you guys probably have a word that's similar in your language. You probably say camera, right? Instead of camera. I don't pronounce the middle vowel, just camera. Family, I think most of you know this, but I think even people that know this still don't do it. It's so hard for the non-native speaker to resist pronouncing what they say. You guys can't see. Sorry about that. It's so hard for the non-native speaker to resist pronouncing everything they see. Okay, so even though we write 3 syllables, camera, we don't say it, camera or family. Same thing with different. I hear a lot of different. That's all the mouth. We're just going to say different. every, so common, especially with Spanish speakers. Doesn't exist for native speakers, just every. We have interest, general, natural, and this one down here is the killer. This one doesn't make any sense at all because we actually changed the order of the consonants. But it's the same idea because we go from 4 syllables to 3 syllables. So if you could say this, fter, 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 that will make it a lot easier, fter. So you say comforter, comfortable. Listen closely, don't stare, just listen. Comfortable, comfortable, like that. So this is what we call the lazy schwa, where you don't just turn schwa into the unstressed syllable into you remove the unstressed syllable. All right, so remember, Facebooky. Yeah, well, in Portuguese, yeah, you guys do that, adding that extra vowel at the end. I've heard that quite a bit. I don't speak Portuguese, but I've heard Portuguese speakers speaking English doing that. All right, so last opportunity for questions before we go into some more examples. We're going to look at some templates, some phrase chunks that I think everyone should start with. Right? I made a video about how I would start learning English in 2026, and one of the things I would start doing is I wouldn't start trying to learn grammar tenses. I would just take some common forms or phrases that I know I'm going to use and be able to pronounce those and say those correctly every single time, and then add things to them and kind of build my vocabulary that way. So we're going to look at some phrase chunks here with the schwa. But first, we're going to look at these pronunciation requests. This is from user, I don't know, Shimerha. So this person asked me if I could go over how to pronounce these words. So don't forget, if you guys want me to do the same thing, you can send me, or you can put in the chat or comment, or if you want me to analyze your pronunciation, scan the QR code and upload your video. So let's just break it down how I would do this, because even though you might not believe it, I don't know how to pronounce every single word in the language. I know how to pronounce most words. Let me make sure you guys can see this. There you go. I know how to pronounce most words, but I mean, not every word. So what would I do as a native speaker if I don't know how to pronounce one of these words? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the dictionary. Right? Use this website or any other one. So this dictionary is going to be your friend for a couple reasons. It's going to show you, most importantly, where the stressed syllable is, and if the schwa is going to, or if the vowel is going to be turned into a schwa or just unstressed. What is the stress? What's the stress vowel? All these things. And there's some audio there too. Turn on audio.
Banana.
All right, so here you can see this same symbol we just looked at. Look at that, the schwa right here. So there's 2 of them. So there's 3 syllables, only 1 syllable is important. Only 1 vowel is important. We're going to make it really important. And we're not going to pronounce the consonants. I'm not going to say banana, banana, banana. Right? You notice how it's hard to get contrast when I pronounce consonants? Banana. Instead, I'm going to focus on vibration and contrast. Listen to this. B, b, and then go right up into the pitch. Banana. And notice I didn't say banana, na, na. I didn't move myself forward with the na, with the N. I move myself with the musicality and vibration. Banana, banana. banana, like that. What else? This is a good one. So I would do the same thing. Come over to the dictionary. This is vanilla plant. No, just want vanilla. So look at this. Whenever you see this apostrophe, it means whatever comes after this is stressed. Or here in this version, you can see it's bolded. And guess what? They're giving us two options. Two options here. So some people say vanilla. Some people say vanilla. I personally say vanilla. So what do you do in this case? Okay, the dictionary is showing me two options. What should I do? Well, the best option here, I think, is to come over to Youglish. Youglish.com. Okay. And here you can type in words and even phrases. Sometimes they don't have every word, every phrase, but they have most of them. And look, you can choose US accent. So let's choose that and let's see which one is more common, vanilla or vanilla?
Instead, vanilla.
Let me put on the headphones so I can hear
it. Doesn't have to be. Might come from plants or animals, from cells instead. Vanilla doesn't have to.
Okay, she said vanilla. So she said this one here, vanilla. Right, she used that one there. Let's keep going. What else are we gonna hear?
Optionally adding 1 teaspoon of vanilla paste if you're making a sweet babka. 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. Optionally adding 1 teaspoon of vanilla paste.
Vanilla. So this time, this guy said vanilla, nella. Okay, so we heard one of each.
1 teaspoon vanilla extract.
It's the same video.
3 eggs.
All right, so another trick here in English,
vanilla.
if you want to do random, because you see there's 5,000 examples here, you can just put this with the R, and then it will go. You can see that. You can't see it. Type it like this, and then you'll get random examples. So, because a lot of times they upload the videos, I think, and like somebody will just upload like, I don't know, a bunch of videos, and they just keep them in order. So if you click that, now we can go random.
And lastly, some smoked sea salt and vanilla bean powder.
Vanilla. So she said nah.
Okay.
It's hard to hear her. Let's just go to the next one.
Sweet treats. We rely on more whole foods for sweetness, like ripe fruit, vanilla, cinnamon.
Vanilla. She said nah. One more.
Vanilla bean from Ecuador.
Vanilla. All right. So, right, we did hear one vanilla, but we heard much more vanilla. So in this case, I would say it's best to use nah. It's more common, right? You can see there's two schwas. Vanilla. Vanilla. Like that. All right. What was the next one? Euro. All right. What do you guys hear? Euro. Right? All this here is not what it, that's not really what it, the way it's written is not really how it sounds. I know in other languages, right, you guys will pronounce those vowels more clearly. But if you hear me, I'm just saying year, right? Throw it in the dictionary. Look at this. Some people might say, okay, again, your. I would say your. And look at this, a small O. Listen to how I say it. You guys can't see. Listen to how I say it. Year. Euro. Right? Euro. I don't know. I think some people might say euro. Sounds a little bit funny, like euro. It's like yours. I say euro. Or European, like that. What's next? This is a good example. Well, here, let's talk about this first. Europe. right? So it's basically the same. Euro, right? Year, or I would say Europe. I wouldn't say Europe. I would say Europe. 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 All right, let's go to Youglish. Watch this. Let's see what it says on English. What do we hear most?
Since we basically lifted it from Europe in World War.
He said year.
Many countries in Southeast Asia and some countries in Europe as well.
That was kind of like
We've seen major droughts in Asia, Europe, South America, and
territories, including the United States, Europe.
Okay, so again, we can see that there's more than one acceptable pronunciation, but the most common pronunciation is yer. All right, and for the last example, this is a good one because this word has more than one form. So it can either be a verb or an adjective. So if it's a verb, the end part here is pronounced clearly. And there's a schwa. The first part, this will be the stress syllable, would be sepa. Hear that schwa? Separate. Separate. But if it's an adjective, this turns unstressed. And we create the lazy schwa. So I don't pronounce 3 syllables. I only pronounce 2. I'll say separate. Separate. So if it's a verb, separate. And if it's an adjective, separate. And that's why rhythmic contrast is so important because, right, the only way we know which word form it is if we hear, obviously, which syllable is stressed or unstressed, right? Listen again. Separate or separate. So that's why you have to tune your ears for pitch, for length, for the space, right? When the vowels stress, look how big it is. Separate or separate, separate, or separate, rate, like that. All right, so great questions. Thanks for the submission. You guys can also submit words that you want me to break down as well. Okay, here we go. Time for phrase chunks. This is how you learn English the fastest way. This is how you get good at English. This is how you get fluent by having the phrases that you would say naturally on an everyday basis, not worrying about the grammar, just knowing how to do them, knowing how to say them in a way that sounds clear for a native speaker's ears, and you could just add on whatever else you need to add, whatever noun or verb. So here we're focusing on the schwa. We already talked about the schwa, that it's inside the body, it's neutral, and it just sounds like this, It's not from the face. It's not ah. If you say it from the face, native speaker's gonna have a hard time understanding you. Our ears listen for vibration. So we're not gonna say a or a. We're just gonna say with the schwa. So we already talked about in the words tu, we don't say tu. We're gonna say t, right? T. Same thing here. The. All vibration, not da. We'll have a whole class on the th later. So now, when we're linking, it's got to be one connected sound. Listen to this. To the. It's 2 schwas. To the, like that. Okay, now we've got a content word and a function word together. So we're going to put a lot of attention on E, not on N or D on E and These are the important sounds here. E and Everything else is secondary. Listen to how I pronounce it. Don't pay attention to what you see. Pay attention to what you hear. Listen to this. Need to. Need to. Right? What you hear is E and Need to. Same thing with this. We'll have a class on T's. We already covered flap T, but in this case, I'm not going to pronounce the T. I'm just going to say wanna. You hear the schwa? No. It's not nah. 99% of you are going to say nah. I'm going to say no. And how am I doing that? Keeping the energy coming from the body and moving forward. Wanna, like that. Okay, next one. Have to. Notice here, what I'm saying, it sounds like this. Have to. Right? Even make this big. Right? There's no rule for this. Just for this word, we always turn the V into an F. F and V are minimal pairs, so all you're really doing is removing the vibration in this case. But we say have to. Have to. All right. This one, unless it's the main verb, right, we're not going to say going. We're just going to say gonna. Right? If it's, this would be the main verb. If it's not the main verb, we're just going to say gonna. Make it a reduction. And listen, gonna. Just two sounds. Gonna, like that. And then here, we already talked about this, what happens with this T. It's not important. Surrounded by vibration. Don't stop the vibration. Just keep the vibration going. And that T will turn into a soft D. And we finish with the schwa inside of the body. Try to. All right, so let's practice with some of these examples that we just covered here, right? So we could say a banana. Listen how many schwas there are. A-ba-na. 3 schwas. Only one sound standing out. And it's not a consonant sound, it's a vowel. Listen. A banana. A banana. A banana. Like that. Okay? Let's use the verb here. So here it would be to sepa. Right? This is a schwa. This is a schwa. Listen how small this is. To separate. Right? You could replace this with any verb that you want, as long as you're coming in like this. It's easy for the native speaker to prepare for what's coming next. Right? And what's coming next is a big sound. To separate. To separate. Like that. Same here. The. Let's use the vanilla. So listen, 2 schwas in a row. The v. All vibration, not da-ba, da-ba, da-ba. It's the vanilla. Or if you're in the minority, you might say the vanilla. I think that's harder. Okay, so to the what? Euro shop, maybe? Let's just say house. To the if you say to the house, it is so hard to understand. But if you say to the house, that to the is easy to understand because it's vibrating inside the body. The listener can pay attention easily. All right, here, most of the time you guys are being understood through context. Most of the time you say need to. So it's not obvious if you need to or if you need also, right? Like TOO. But if you use the schwa and say need to, make E big and need to, then we know that it's a function word. So let's just stay with the verb separate. All right, so need to sepa. You see how much contrast this is creating? Need to separate. Need to separate. Like that. Or let's change it. Wanna, let's say, travel. Get a syllabic consonant here. We already talked about why we don't pronounce this vowel sound. It's a syllabic consonant. Lots of videos about that already. You can just search on my channel, syllabic consonants. So we're not going to say vel, it's going to be vul, vul, vul. So this is the most important sound in the whole phrase. This is the second most. Listen to this. Wanna travel. Wanna travel. You can hear that. You hear that vowel going all the way up and down. Travel. Like that. Okay. Have to, let's just, I don't know, have to remember. Let's say that. Have to remember. So, first syllable is unstressed there. So, guess what we're going to do? Turn it into a schwa. What a surprise. So, we're not going to say re or re. It's going to be r, r, r. So, there'll be two schwas next to each other. Have to remember. And notice, everything you hear is a vibration. It's all vibration. It's not have to remember, have to remember, have to remember. In the mouth is have to remember. Even the M sounds are vibration. It's not mem, 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 mem. This doesn't exist in American English. Mem, mem, mem. M is this. Listen, have to remember. Have to remember. So, if you're listening like a pro, you're listening to the vibration, you're listening to how high the pitch goes and how low and short the unstressed syllables are. Okay, gonna, what? Let's say gonna dedicate. So here we got stress, unstressed, da, schwa sound. Two schwas. Gonna dedicate. Gonna dada. This is what I was talking about, extracting sounds, not pronouncing the whole thing. If you just say gonna dada, your ears can start to pick up on that. Gonna dada. If instead of looking at the word gonna dedicate, no, gonna dada. Get your body used to that. Get your ears used to it. Gonna dedicate. And try to, let's say, resolve. And guess what? Another unstressed syllable in the first vowel. So I'm going to say try to re. Not try to re. Try to re. No. Try to re. You hear I'm singing the whole time? Try to resolve. All right. So this is probably the first thing I would recommend someone who's starting to learn English to learn. I would not recommend that you start learning, the difference between, present tense and present perfect, or whatever, past simple and present perfect. Who cares? This is what you need to do, and you need to be able to say it in a way that people understand, right? You can memorize all the grammar, and if you can't say it in a way people understand, then you might as well be a beginner anyways. So just focus on these key phrase chunks that you can use all the time in so many different situations, right? And then if you don't pronounce, right, these content words perfectly, okay, but, it's going to be a lot easier for the person to understand if you start out in a way that's familiar. All right, so those are our schwa phrase chunks. And now comes the most fun part of the show. Pronunciation analysis. Any guesses who we will be analyzing today? Drop it in the chat. Anybody want to guess? Whose pronunciation will I break down? So before I even do that, let me put my disclaimer that I am not judging when I do these accent analysis. I am not saying that this person must follow my tips or my guidance or change their accent. What I am saying is that the things that I'm going to point out here are things that will make this person much easier to understand for a native speaker, that fit into a native speaker's ear in a way that's comfortable and easy. So, without further ado, let's check out. Who are we looking at today? French president. Is Emmanuel Macron, right? Did I say that right? French speakers, Macron. All right. So wait, let's investigate. What do we know? I mean, we know he's the president. How do you spell his name? Emmanuel. Here we go. We know he's the president. What else will they tell us? He's 48. He's married to Bridget Macron. For you conspiracy theorists out there, you guys know what I'm talking about. Actually, I think there's a lawsuit right now related to her and conspiracies. Let's see here. He born in 77. All right, let's just jump to the most interesting part. What's the age gap between Macron and his wife? What do we guess? Any guesses? Is there a picture of her? Yeah, that's her. From the picture, they look about the same age. From the internet, she is 24 years older than him. 24 years. That is not what you usually see in a relationship with a woman being 24 years. I mean, with anybody, really, but I mean, even less common with a woman. And from what I have heard, I haven't verified this. You guys can, okay, it's verified right here. How they met. Can you guys see this? I think you can see it. How they met. She was his teacher, right? Says she was his drama teacher in high school. And the two began a relationship when he was just 15 years old. Okay, so I don't know the rules in France. I don't know what is considered normal. But I know that in the United States of America, that, especially if that was a man, that would be a huge problem. And that would be a huge issue. And that man would definitely at least have served some jail time and be on a sexual predator list. So that is amazing that they have continued their relationship. That's beautiful. That's great. I'm glad they're happy. But actually, did you guys see? I think there was a video where she slapped him too when they were getting out of a plane. Hold on, guys. We're going to get a little bit distracted here for pronunciation. I'm going to get to the analysis. Macron slapped by wife on plane. Look at that. It's got 11 million views. Let's check it out. Make sure you guys can see. I don't think so. Hold on. Let's check this out. That wasn't a slap though. That was more like a face pushing. The way he just waved at everyone. Look at this. Oh. So if she's 24 years older than him and was his teacher, how many years do you think that this has been happening? I mean, I don't know, man. And he just acted like that was normal business. I mean, he didn't really seem phased. I mean, that is not how you would react if that was the first time that happened to you. So, all right, guys. Well, I'll save the rest of the deep dive investigation, for your self study here if you guys are interested in knowing more about this Macron relationship. Let's get into what I think could make him sound more clear and natural to an American listener. So here we go. Let's start.
Ukraine. Look, I do hope, and I really believe it was an important meeting at the White House this 18th of August.
Right. It's not so much contrast. You hear this? 18th of August. 18th of August. I would say 18th of August. Listen to the pitch. 18th of... Right, he said 18th of August. I said 18th of August. Right, my unstressed syllable is so short. I have a feeling this is going to be mostly what we hear from him, this rhythm.
These security guarantees together.
Look how hard she's concentrating when she listens to him.
In order to provide, the day we have a peace agreement, these security guarantees together.
All right, securities. I don't even know if I can say it the way he said it. Listen.
This security guarantee.
This security. This security. Okay, that's not easy to understand. This security. I would say this security. Hear the difference? So much more pitch in the vowel. Also, I'm changing the T sound, keeping the vibration. That lets the listener know it's unstressed. He said security. I say security, like that.
Day after the meeting between President Trump and President Putin in Alaska.
Look at he's saying prison. I mean, without context, I'm not sure if he's saying present or president.
Trump and President Putin in Alaska.
President. I don't even hear 3 syllables. Listen to this. President.
Day after the meeting between President
Look at how I say it. President Trump, President Putin. Stress syllable is so much bigger in my version.
Power not to be attacked again.
All right. Listen to...
Live in peace and security. We will have sufficient deterrence power not to be attacked again.
Okay. I don't hear any vowels.
Peace. To be sure the day after this peace deal that they will have sufficient deterrence power not to be attacked again.
Sufficient deterrence power not to be attacked again. Sufficient deterrence power not to be attacked again. I mean, that is the opposite of what is easy to understand for an American listener. The consonants are all perfect. They're slamming me in the ear. Everything is in a little line. There's no variety or variation, and there's no vowel sounds. I mean, there's no vowel sounds. I mean, can someone confirm for me in French, do you guys have vowel sounds? Because I can't tell. Listen to this.
We'll have sufficient deterrence power not to be attacked again.
Sufficient deterrence power not to be attacked again. I would say sufficient deterrence power not to be attacked again. All right, so you can tell that I'm doing the total opposite of what he's doing in terms of, putting emphasis on vowel sounds, giving pitch in stress consonant or stress vowels, and also changing the length, and also keeping the sound in my mouth. All those consonant sounds, keeping my sounds in the body. All his consonant sounds are in the mouth.
In order to build a peace.
In order to build a peace. In order to build a peace. In order to build a peace. You hear the difference? In order to build a peace. Right? He's speaking from the mouth. And yeah.
If we want to use different words, but we have to stop the killing. So we all...
Look at her face. I'm not sure that I'm not sure she understands him 100%. Or she but look at that. If someone's looking at you like that, do you think they're really understanding everything? Oh, can you even see her? Hold on. Yeah, you can see her. Do you think someone's really understanding you well if that's the face they're giving you? No. So I mean, this is the whole argument of, okay, why would someone do accent training right here in this screenshot right here. All right, if you're being looked at like this and you're sending your message, you can probably assume the person doesn't understand 100% of what you're saying.
I agree with your president that we have to increase the pressure.
You can see like her brain tightening up. All right.
Full certainty that if you make any peace deal without...
Oh, he said any, like he put some emphasis on that. Is he saying peace or piss?
And there is full certainty that if you make any peace deal without...
Any peace deal. Peace deal. Sounds like he's saying piss. P-I-S-S. Any peace deal. Why? Why does it sound like that? Because that E vowel is so far down here. E. E, right? He said any peace deal. Peace deal. Peace deal. From the mouth. Everything. Any peace deal. Right? I would say any peace deal. You hear that? You hear that musicality of that melody? Any peace deal. Any peace deal. Like that.
Is very important and should be finalized.
Look at her face. She cannot understand this guy.
Before the trilateral meeting, because these security guarantees are the one to put Ukraine in a situation to negotiate.
And I guess she probably listened to him for a couple hours before the interview just to get used to his accent. But like, I guarantee someone who's not used to listening to non-native speakers would not be able to understand his accent. Like if you just dropped him off in the middle of America somewhere, which I know not everybody's gonna, care about that. So, if you don't care about that, this is not for you. I'm only talking about people who want to be easily understood by American listeners.
2022.
You hear that? 2022. Where's the stress?
They got a lot of territories after.
Territories. Like he's like eating every sound. Territories.
The first phase of the war between February.
War, that was clear. The war. He put a lot of emphasis on the vowel sound. That was clear.
And summer 2022.
Summer 2022. 2022. Right? Or 2022. 2022. You hear that? You hear I even removed a consonant? He said 2022. I said 2022. Right? So that just shows how little importance the consonants have for us. For his part, you can only hear consonants. For me, I'm actually even removing a consonant and making the vowels bigger.
Of territories being taken by force.
Force, right? I mean, at least we can understand that, right? Force. I would say force, more inside the body R sound, but I think that part was at least easily understandable.
A great deal being fixed, concluded, but a great deal is a deal.
Concluded. You see, this is what I mean about body, voice, and pitch. When you're pronouncing these consonant sounds so strongly in your mouth, you can't create pitch. You can't create vibration. It's impossible. Listen to it.
Being fixed, concluded.
Concluded, or concluded. Concluded. Listen how you can trace my voice all the way up and all the way down. Concluded, like that. He's concluded. I'm concluded, like that. And that's my normal pronunciation. It's not exaggerated.
To be sure they want peace.
Be sure they want peace. I can't tell if he's saying one, W-O-N, want, right? Listen to the difference. One piece, want peace. Look at the difference in the mouth movement. This is what I'm talking about also, is that like non-native speakers don't understand how important space is for our American ears. Look, is he saying one piece or want peace? One, want. All of the energy is coming from the same place. It's the same sound, technically. It's just a different shape. Look, they one piece or they want peace. I'm sure within the context, we can understand, but you can see how people are being understood through context and not actually what they're saying.
But we are ready as well to step up. Sanction.
To step up, right? We just talked about the Schwa. To step up. To step up. It's not obvious if that's important or not. So if you turn it to the Schwa and say, to step up. Hear the difference? To step up or to step up. It's so much easier to hear the important parts. All right, so that's enough. picking on, bullying on our boy Macron. I read somewhere, I think it was satire, but I read somewhere that English is just poorly pronounced French, so maybe we're the ones doing it wrong. So, all right, guys, that's the accent interview or analysis. If you guys have someone you want me to analyze in the next live, let me know. Just drop it in the chat or in the comments. You can email it to me. If you want me to analyze your accent, scan the QR code there and upload your video. Don't forget that if you want the best access to the best American pronunciation course with the most materials, check out Rachel's English. If you use my coupon code, you get 10% off for life. Has the most audios, the most lessons, the most videos, the most material available online. And she's been teaching American accent online for longer than anyone else. So that's it for the live today, everyone. So I'll be uploading this with all the links, and I hope you guys learned something. And now that you know how to listen, identify, use the schwa like a native speaker, you just boosted up your English.